Hey everybody, this is going to be my sermon on faith, faith steps, and just before we get started, I just want to pray. God, I thank you so much for the words that you've given me today, and I pray that you will soften people's hearts, the people that are watching, to be able to hear your words. Amen. Alright, so I'd love if you guys go on a little imagination journey with me. And so basically, put yourself, imagine yourself near a cliff. And near the cliff, you've got a couch, you've got a table with your favourite drink, Coke, Pepsi. Solo's mine, so I'll go with Solo. Nice umbrella, and it's really good. It's really comfy, it's relaxing, and it's safe. And then all of a sudden, God says, CJ, jump. You go, whoa, hang on. You you want me to jump off this? And he just goes, jump, trust me. And you keep thinking, you're like, you look over the edge, there's ledges, there's rocks sticking out. You go, right, I got it. Trust me. Let's do this. Psych yourself up. Come on. Let's do this. Nah, can't do it. Yeah, I can do it. And then you jump. You're free falling for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, boom, you hit your first ledge. You hit your second ledge. Hurts. You're starting to worry. Boom, you've hit your third ledge, but you catch yourself. You're in pain, everything hurts, everything aches. And you're just like, what the heck, God? Like, where are you? What are you let me hit these ledges and I'm in pain and you're crying out to God, like, where are you? What are you doing? And you're just hanging there, and then you see all of a sudden these people in parachutes just gliding off the cliff, and you're like, God, why don't you give me a parachute? You're just crying out to God, and you're like, and then all of a sudden you see God, he's on the ledge and he's got his hand out. And you go, I don't know if I can trust you again, God. Like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I've got the strength to reach out my hand and grab yours. And he's just waiting there. He's come to you and he's just waiting with you. You finally pick up the strength to grab that hand and pulls yourself up, pulls you up, and you go, God, I can't do it. And he goes, CJ, jump, trust me. You go, nah. You give me a parachute and a safety line before I jump again. Like, no. Trust me. Oh man, like you're freaking out. And you pick up the courage and you're like, right. You jump off, and just before you hit the bottom, God gives you that parachute and pulls it, and you glide. You're gliding through journey and loving life and laughing with God. And I just want to take you to Psalm 37. Too far. Psalm 37, verse 24, and it says, though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. Now I'm talking about faith steps, and I get that was more like a faith jump, but sometimes in life we need to take those jumps. And again, I'm also reading in the NIV, and just travel with me to 1 Samuel, real quickly. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 11. Here we go. So he asked Jesse, are these all the sons you have? No, there's still the youngest, Jesse answered, but he's tending to the sheep. Samuel said, send for him. We're not going to sit down until he arrives. So Jesse sent for him and had him brought in, And David comes in, he was ruddy, with a fine appearance and handsome features. This is what the Bible says. Then the Lord said, "Rise and anoint him, for he is the one." So Samuel took the horn of oil, anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And from that day the Spirit of the Lord came upon David in power. Samuel then went to Ramah. So at this point, David has just been anointed, youngest, and also anointed in front of all of his brothers and his father. Now, if I was the youngest brother, well, I am a youngest brother, I'd be pretty chuffed if I got a kingship over my oldest brother. I'd be like, damn straight. No, just kidding. And so David's just like, yep, I'm king. Jesse comes to him thinking, yeah, this is it, this is my moment. Here we go. Jesse goes, tend to the sheep. Hang on. Excuse me? Tend to the sheep? That's a shepherd's job. I'm a king, thank you. No. Jesse says, tend to the sheep. Righto, I'll go tend to the sheep. Later on, Jesse comes back, and David, I reckon, he might have gotten a bit excited. It's like, whoo, this is it. Here we go. This is my moment. Moment for the king. All hail King David. Whoop, whoop. Jesse comes and says, take some water and food to your brothers out to the battle. What? That's a servant job. Thank you, Dad. That's not a king. Take food and water to your brothers out of the battle. So David, he goes and he goes out to the battle, and then here's Goliath. Now at this point, I reckon David's at the cliff and looking pretty relaxed. He's in the back of the army, just giving water and food to his brothers, and God says, jump. Meaning, go take on Goliath. David's probably going, hey, whoa, what? Do you see that, man? That guy's a giant. Fully armoured, sword-wielding spear, shield. Giant. I'm a young, tiny, with a slingshot. What am I going to do with that? No. Trust me. Jump. Alright, God. I trust you. Here we go. Goes down to the river, gets a couple of stones, swings it, knocks it straight into Goliath's forehead, goes down, and then kills Goliath. Now, if David hadn't listened to his father when Jesse said, go, look after your flock, and he's just been like, nah, Dad, I'm off to be king, I don't need to do that anymore, that's a shepherd's job. And if David hadn't gone to the sheep, and Jesse didn't have the chance to come out to him and say, go take water and food to your brothers. Nah, that's a servant job. David wouldn't have come to the battle, wouldn't have defeated Goliath, wouldn't have become the captain of Saul's army, wouldn't even have met Saul, and then he wouldn't have become king. Before David could become king, he had to learn how to look after his flock before he could look after a nation. He had to learn how to trust in God when there's a lion or a wolf trying to eat the flock before he could take on Goliath, a giant. He had to learn how to take care of his brothers before taking care of God's army. Mark Varghese, the senior pastor of Kingdom City Church, he has churches in 7 different countries. He says this: some steps may not be spectacular, but are always significant. The next step may be about testing you, not blessing you. You're never too old to take your next step. You're alive for a reason. And others are waiting on the other side of your next step. That last one just means if you don't take that next step, there could be thousands of people that don't get inspired to take their own step, and then thousands from those thousands, and the ripple effect that that creates. There are people waiting for you to take that step with God. Now, there are people watching this video that they still have dreams, they still have visions, but some of you are at that ledge, on the edge of the cliff, and you're seeing the names of the ledges, and you're saying, I don't have time, I don't have the authority in my church or in my community, I'm too old, I'm too young, someone else can do it, and then I'll help them do it. Now, if a shepherd waited for another shepherd to look after his flock, the flock would scatter. The lions, the wolves would eat the flock because the shepherd waited for someone else to come and look after his own flock. It doesn't work like that. Back then, you're the only shepherd for that flock. And I know some of you today are lost, and I heard this quote and I love it. It takes one wrong turn to get lost, but it takes one right turn to be found. And as I was thinking of this sermon, God gave me a vision. And the vision is this dark room, and you're just walking inside this room, and you're lost, you can't find your way, you keep hitting walls, you keep hitting the doors that slam in your face, and you're sick and tired of it. And you're just crying out to God, where are you? This sucks, I hate this. And then all of a sudden, God comes into the room like a light. But it's not a bright light. The way I describe it is like, when I was young, I needed a night light. And it's not a bright light, but it's enough light to keep the darkness away. That's what God comes into the room as. And the people, you just run up to him and you give him a hug, and what you say is that you're found. I'm found by God. And I know that, and I asked God to give me the feeling that those people are feeling at the moment, and it was just a sense of lost, wanting to be found. And it just broke me, and it sucks when you've got those doors slamming in your face and you run into the walls, but I believe that God is about to turn up in your life. I believe this with all of my heart, that God is going to come and you're just going to give him the hug and you're going to say, I'm found. And lastly, there's this last quote. And it says, did you know that for our shame, we are loved proudly, and with our ashes, we were made beautiful. And I know there are people in this world, I've been one of them, that the shame and the guilt overtakes us. But God proudly loves you, proudly made you beautiful, and nothing can take that away. And so God, I just pray that with all of my heart, that the people that are feeling lost, that you will show up in their room, in wherever they're at, God, as a light to keep the darkness away. And God, let them feel found, and let them know that you so proudly love them and made them so beautiful. Amen.